Today I will bring you a story that everyone is eagerly waiting for, that is Saitama. In a city in Japan, there was a big explosion and a Piccolo from Dragon Ball appeared there and destroyed everything. All the heroes who came to stop it were beaten up by it. At this moment, after watching on TV, a bald man appeared. He put on his cape and went outside. When the monster was about to attack a little girl, Saitama saved her. This monster was created from pollution and wanted to destroy human civilization so that the earth would no longer be polluted. It seems like this monster was also quite powerful. Saitama just lightly punched it and it disintegrated. That was normal for him. Going back 3 years ago, when Saitama still had hair, he was on his way to work and encountered a perverted lobster monster. He didn't bother to wear pants either. The monster saw Saitama's indifferent face and let him go. The monster said he was hunting a kid with a butt on his chin and wanted to tear him apart. Saitama went through the park and saw that kid with a butt on his chin. It turned out that the kid used a felt tip pen to draw on the crab, which made it angry and go hunting. When Saitama was about to leave, the crab found and attacked the kid. Saitama saved the kid and the monster told him to leave before he changed his mind about sparing him. But Saitama was tough and said he was also bored and wanted to do something. So the monster punched Saitama, but he still stood up and continued to be beaten up by it. Then Saitama jumped up, tied his necktie around the monster's eyes, pulled out its brain and defeated the lobster monster. Since that day, Saitama has trained so hard that he lost all his hair and is now unbeatable. Although he was very strong, he was still poor. While he was shopping at the supermarket, there was a big shock and everyone ran away. It turned out that a giant monster was entering the city with his older brother on his shoulder. The giant was actually his younger brother, who was always searching for strength and had trained crazily. His older brother gave him some strange medicine that made him turn into a giant. With a single wave of his hand, he destroyed a whole section of the city. His older brother was standing on his left shoulder and told him to kill the giant on his right shoulder. But his younger brother was so stupid that he couldn't tell his left from his right and slapped his older brother's shoulder, killing him. The younger brother got angry and threw Saitama onto a building and repeatedly punched him. But Saitama jumped up and punched him in the face. Later, when he was coming back from shopping, he encountered a monster that was threatening people. He punched the monster and destroyed it. As usual, he went home, washed, ate, watched movies, and went to bed. He had no opponents because he was too strong. The next morning, while he was sleeping, his apartment was suddenly destroyed, and he was attacked by a muscle man who said that he was a creature from underground and that they would take back this land. Saitama was excited to finally have a strong opponent to fight. With just one punch, he defeated the first enemy, and more enemies kept coming. He became even more excited and defeated everyone. He declared that he was protecting this land. After defeating all the underground people, their leader appeared. Saitama enjoyed the fight, but then his alarm clock woke him up. It turned out to be just a dream, but then he realized that the underground people were actually attacking outside. He jumped down and killed one of them, and the others begged for mercy. Today on TV, there was an announcement that a very large number of mosquitoes had appeared and many dead livestock were found in people's homes. As the mosquitoes were approaching, suddenly a mosquito appeared and although Saitama tried to catch it several times, he missed. However, he quickly used his speed to catch the mosquito. At that moment, a large swarm of mosquitoes flew past the buildings and someone wanted to kill the swarm. One person took advantage of the situation to steal while everyone evacuated and was surrounded by the swarm, sucked dry by the mosquitoes. The mosquito leader looked seductive, and at that time, the robot shot a fireball at the mosquito leader, but she dodged it. After that, the swarm surrounded the robot, but he used his firepower to burn the swarm to ashes. Meanwhile, Saitama still couldn't catch the mosquito, looking very annoyed. The mosquito leader and the robot continued to fight, with the robot constantly shooting fireballs and the mosquito leader constantly dodging and then approaching and skewering one of the robot's arms. However, she did not expect that the robot had also caught her legs, and she flew up high, even though the robot fired fireballs at her, but missed. While in midair, the mosquito leader summoned a huge number of mosquitoes, and on the other side, Saitama was still trying to chase and kill the mosquito. When the robot warned Saitama to run before things got worse, the mosquito leader sent the swarm towards the robot, and he had to use his strongest firepower to kill every mosquito within a radius of several kilometers. As the robot was worrying about human beings, Saitama praised the robot's strength and received a traffic sign as a reward for his efforts. The Mosquito Queen didn't need that swarm anymore because she had already sucked enough blood and transformed into a stronger form. With just a scratch, she had destroyed several buildings. She quickly appeared behind the robot and nearly cut him in half. She kicked him high in the air and kept slashing at him. When he was about to activate the self-destruct mode to kill them both, Saitama slapped and killed the Mosquito Queen. The robot was amazed by Saitama's strength and asked to become his disciple. He introduced himself as Zenov, explaining that his entire body was mechanical and asked what the flesh-colored armor on Saitama's head was. "It's my skin, idiot," Saitama replied. Zenov recounted that when he was 15, a robot had come to his village, destroyed everything, and killed his family. When he was barely alive, Dr. Shino happened to pass by and saved him. Zenov asked Dr. Shino to upgrade his body into a fighting machine for justice. He wanted to become strong enough to defeat the robot that destroyed his village, but because he talked too much, Saitama summarized it in about 20 words. Finally, Zenov said that he wanted to be as strong as Saitama. Saitama replied that he started training at 22 and he was now 25, so it would take Zenov over 200 years to catch up. The training was also very grueling, so could he handle it? Zenov responded honestly. Suddenly, Zenov realized something and a beetle jumped into Saitama's apartment. Before it could introduce itself, Saitama punched it away. Zenov sensed that there were two more people outside, so he jumped out. However, Saitama had already come out and punched the ground, making a hole. "You destroyed my house." Behind Zenov, there was another person in a terrifying armor. Zenov wanted to ask if he was the same robot that attacked his village before. Meanwhile, on Saitama's side, there was a Lion King and a Kickfoot, who was a Kui mouse. Zenov fought fiercely against the other robot, while on Saitama's side, the lion was thinking of ways to defeat Saitama. Suddenly, Saitama stood up and walked out as if nothing had happened, leaving the other two stunned. Saitama warned them one last time, but the Lion King, who was arrogant and contemptuous of Saitama, attacked him with his claws. He was angry, but he only took a light punch from Saitama and was knocked away. The mouse Kui, who was afraid, tried to escape by digging, but couldn't run away. They all fell to the ground. On this side, Zenov defeated the robot guy who turned out to be an armored monkey, and he threatened Zenov that the lion would quickly rescue him. Then, Saitama showed the intact eye of the lion to the scared monkey, who confessed and begged not to be killed. Long ago, there was a young genius scientist who contributed a lot to human knowledge, but he was disappointed with this world. Despite receiving countless praises, none of his ideas or hypotheses were recognized by anyone, and people thought he was a psychiatric doctor. He had a dream of evolving a new species for humanity, and he obsessively researched until he was 70 years old, when he achieved his results. He made himself young again and cloned countless copies of himself, naming his laboratory Evolution. He created countless new species through cloning and evolution, but Saitama found it too long and asked for a 20-word summary. In short, the boss was interested in Saitama's body and sent his subordinates to capture him for experimentation. Both parties decided to meet the scientist, but when they arrived at the base, the others planned to release a deadly beetle to kill Saitama. The clones were frightened because Saitama was the strongest and most ruthless evolved species. Zenov used his flame power to destroy the 8-story base, and they discovered a basement door, so they both entered. On this side, all the cloned people were about to be killed by the menacing insectoid, and looking at its terrifying face, the original one approached and said that if you are satisfied, then I will also ask for permission to respond. Even if someone kills me, there are clones to replace me to carry out my duties. But please help me capture this creature, whether it lives or dies. When Saitama and Zenov were walking along the corridor, they noticed something rushing towards them, which was the bloodthirsty insectoid holding the doctor's name running towards them. After identifying Saitama as the target, it punched Zenov against the wall and called out to Saitama to fight in a larger room. It was the room where the doctor forced the evolved creatures to fight to test their combat ability. At that time, Zenov staggered and fired flames at the insectoid, then he ran around and threw a series of fireballs, but the insectoid easily punched him away. Saitama caught him before he hit the ground, and then he threw his final fireball, but the insectoid blew fire back at him, which made him scared. The doctor thought back to his memories and looked at the people like stupid animals. He then had the idea of evolving the two-legged creatures for more benefits. He limped over to see the battle between Saitama and the bloodthirsty insectoid. The insectoid used its speed to approach Saitama from behind, but when it saw his gaze, it was frightened and jumped far away, leaning against the wall, and asked why he was so strong with a bald head. "If you want to know, then I will agree to let you know." Zenov was also very eager to know the secret of Saitama's strength, and the other two were also curious to see where his strength came from. At that moment, Saitama shouted loudly that he had to train every day for 3 years without stopping, doing 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups, and running 100 kilometers every morning. He only ate bananas and didn't turn on the air conditioner to increase his alertness. With relentless effort, he became bald, but his strength was also surprisingly amazing. After hearing Zenov's words, Saitama told him to stop talking nonsense. The enraged bull monster transformed into a state of frenzy, causing the entire base to turn red due to the alarm of his power. He rushed towards Saitama and punched him, then continuously punched him up and down in midair before he fell to the ground. The monster jumped up to continue his attack, but Saitama suddenly realized that it was the day of the big sale at the supermarket. He became angry, punched the bull monster to death, and sat down crying because he had missed the chance to buy discounted items. At this moment, Zenov said that they still had 4 hours left, so the two of them dug a hole in the base and ran quickly to the supermarket. There was a bald man who wanted to overturn the work system, thinking that the rich were getting fatter while the poor were dying slowly. He believed that people shouldn't have to work and that they should share food with each other. However, he failed to gain support, and they ended up rallying to the wealthiest man's house to destroy it. One of their members, wearing combat armor, knocked down the wrong house with just one kick. The leader of the group said it was okay and urged them to move on. Saitama woke up from an unpleasant dream and went to brush his teeth when he heard the news that a group of people had destroyed a skyscraper building, led by a criminal called Hammerhead and his members who all had bald heads as their identifying feature. Saitama was surprised and thought that they were imitating his bald head and committing crimes, causing his reputation as a bald hero to disappear. On the other side, the police force could not stop Hammerhead's team, and when the hero rider appeared to stop them, he was knocked out with a single punch. But at the same time, the wealthiest man in the city, Gennaro, was worried that they would come and destroy his house. Meanwhile, his butler was also worried, and a man named Sonic, who was in the same room, offered to handle the situation for money. Sonic was known as the King of Sound because he could move at or faster than the speed of sound. When Hammerhead's team was moving towards Gennaro's building, Sonic stopped them and said he would spare them if they surrendered, but Hammerhead's team still insisted on attacking. Sonic laughed lightly, then rushed forward, and every member of Hammerhead's team who was there had their heads chopped off by Sonic. Hammerhead, who had seen all of his comrades beheaded, was scared and tried to protect himself by raising his hand, but a piece of his hand was also cut off. He then slammed the ground, creating a dust cloud, causing Sonic to stop. Sonic jumped on a tree, and Hammerhead threw large pieces of earth towards him, creating a straight path. Sonic rushed towards him, using a large pole to strike down the path, but Sonic had already moved behind him and used a mysterious energy to hit Hammerhead's head. After calling Gennaro to inform him that the job was done, Sonic discovered that Hammerhead had already run away. Hammerhead tried to run past Saitama, but he punched him and was about to let him go when Hammerhead attacked him with a whirlwind technique. However, Saitama caught his arms and lightly punched him, sending his armor flying. Seeing the situation was not good, Hammerhead quickly apologized and begged Saitama for mercy, grabbing your butt and running away quickly. At this point, Sonic also appears there. Saitama directs the Hammerhead guy, but he gets hit by Sonic's attack, but he catches it. Then he is stabbed with a knife, but Saitama still blocks it and directly breaks the sword, explaining that he is not related to that bald group, but Sonic is interested because Saitama has blocked 2 of his moves, so he uses his supersonic speed to continuously move around and then rushes to kick Saitama's head straight, but he manages to dodge it and shows his hand. After some pain, Sonic threatens to kill Saitama in the most pitiful position next time. That night, Saitama tells Zenov a very important story in the 3 years of being a hero that no one knows about, even though he has defeated countless monsters. Then Zenov asks Saitama if he has registered with the Hero Association yet. Saitama innocently asks if he should, and Zenov explains that when you sign up, you will officially be a hero and receive a salary from the association's fund. So Saitama invites Zenov to register together and promises to take him on as his disciple. While the hammerhead guy was hiding, the people in the organization he stole from came to take him away and then left, while the hammerhead guy was secretly happy because his head was much harder than a normal person's and he didn't die, so he promised to work hard from now on. Coming up is the Hero Association recruitment event, and maybe those people are already paying attention to Zenov. The competition takes place, and those guys can't believe that our little bald guy is here too. But when the competition begins, the first step is to move left and right, and Saitama looks really scary with a straight face. Then it's 1,500 meters, followed by weightlifting, then throwing weights, then high jump, and he even breaks the ceiling, mouse, and punching machine. The two teachers and students sit in the locker room waiting for the results. After an hour, Zenov scores 100 points and becomes a rank S hero, while Saitama only gets 71 points and becomes a rank C hero. Even though his head is clearly a rank S looking at Saitama's dumbfounded face, it's obvious that he doesn't understand how he got a rank C with 71 points. They were taken to a room to welcome those who passed, but why were there only these two people? The lecturer looked at them with a face that made them hate him, and he even performed the long-handle skillet boxing to intimidate the two. But Saitama was only concerned about blowing a rubber ball and then sitting down to contemplate what to eat tonight, which made the other guy very annoyed. On the way back, Zenov said that this hero association was established 3 years ago when the grandson of a millionaire named Agorin was attacked by a monster and someone passing by saved them, so he used his donation fund to establish the Hero Association. The guy who spoke in Saitama's room ranked 38th in Class A and was very angry that no one knew about him. At this point, the person from the association said that Zenov had achieved absolute scores in both discourse and physique, but Saitama's discourse was all wrong, yet he achieved an absolute physical score and broke the physical record in the past 3 years. Hearing this, he expressed surprise, and he worried that Saitama would achieve a high rank in the future, so that evening he stood in Saitama's way and punched him in the face. Whatever will be, will be. Today, Zenov took Saitama to a deserted field to test their strength. Zenov rushed towards the rock with his flames, but Saitama dodged it lightly, then turned around, hooked the rock, and jumped up high before stomping hard on the ground. Saitama was about to jump away when Zenov fired his flames at him, but Saitama managed to dodge it. Zenov accelerated and punched Saitama continuously, hitting the mountain but not hitting anything. So he quickly rushed down and unleashed a stream of fire at him, thinking that he had surely hit him, but Saitama was standing behind him and gently patted him, saying that he had won. Zenov then said to the teacher to fight fairly, because he respected his students. Hearing this, Saitama unexpectedly rushed forward, then slipped behind him and exerted all his strength into a powerful punch that created a tremendous force, but Saitama stopped in time and invited Zenas to go eat udon noodles. Zenov looked behind him at the mountains that seemed to be evaporating and knew that it was impossible for him to match this guy. That evening, the two teacher-student pairs went to eat the super spicy udon noodle challenge, which Saitama gave up on, but Zenov managed to finish the whole barrel, saying that it was just that simple. At this point, Amai was a Class A hero who went to find Zenov and wanted to go out and talk to him. Two people went outside to talk for a while, then Zenov calmly walked in, surprising Saitama because he thought that guy was going to cause trouble like he did the other day. On the way back, Zenov looked at the Hero Association's welcome fan and told Saitama to go ahead and he had something to take care of. Due to some special reasons, Zenov moved in with Saitama and he always wrote down what the sensei did to learn by himself, but Saitama only knew about physical training. Zenov told him that if a Class C hero did not have any activities for a week, they would be removed from the list. So, Class C heroes had to work together, which surprised Saitama. He quickly got dressed and told Zenov to stay home and behave himself. After talking for a while, even though he didn't understand anything, he made Zenov believe him and ran out to find bad guys. He ran from morning till evening but didn't find any villains or monsters. So, the next day, Saitama was worried because if nothing happened, he would lose his job. At this moment, Sonic appeared, but Saitama was busy and told him to meet again. Thinking that he was being insulted, Sonic rushed towards Saitama with his sword, but Saitama bit the sword and broke it with his teeth. Then, a tall figure appeared, Top Tiger, and told Saitama that he would punish him as a criminal. Saitama thought he was talking about Sonic, but Top Tiger caught him and said he was the criminal. Looking bored, Saitama realized that he had run around the neighborhood with a suspicious face yesterday, and everyone thought he was a criminal. Top Tiger wanted to punish him to gain fame, but Sonic killed him with 3 shurikens, causing chaos among the people. Sonic jumped up and threw a barrage of shurikens that exploded and destroyed the surrounding buildings, even throwing a car at a child on the street. Fortunately, Saitama was able to save the child, and he was angry with Sonic for his reckless behavior. Meanwhile, in the Hero Association, a meeting was being held to discuss criminals and heroes maintaining order in the cities. In the city at that moment, there was an A-class monster, and 2 A-class heroes, Spring Mustache ranked 33rd and Golden Ball ranked 29th, were dispatched to handle it. They shot mosquito-like projectiles at the sea serpent, but it easily brushed them off, then slithered up from the sewer and grabbed Golden Ball's leg, pulling him down and slamming him against the wall, knocking him out. While worrying about his teammate, Spring Mustache fought the sea serpent with his sword, blocking its attacks. He then bent his sword and shot out a long blade that pierced through everything, but only managed to hit the sea serpent's fin. Feeling uneasy, he contacted the Hero Association for support, and when the information reached the A-class heroes, they began to try their luck with the monster. After a battle, Spring Mustache's sword broke, and he fainted. When the sea serpent saw the humans, it became even more excited, but then someone walked by, and it was Saitama. The monster started attacking while Saitama remembered that he had not bought seaweed yet. So that night, there was seaweed soup at Saitama's house, and he lied to Zenov that he bought it from a supermarket. On the other side, when the group of heroes arrived, they saw a whole building destroyed and the monster disappeared. They thought the monsters were probably fighting for territory, but little did they know that the bald guy was the one who defeated the seaweed monster. In space, there was a large meteor flying across, and according to the association's estimate, it would fall straight into the city. They started an emergency meeting to discuss how to stop the meteor. Zenov was invited to participate in this meeting, and when he arrived, he met Bang, also known as Bang the Silver Fang, a Class S hero ranked 3. Bang told Zenov that the other Class S heroes were not willing to help because the meteor would destroy the city completely, but he did not want to abandon the city, so he came here. Zenov decided to follow the newest weapon to destroy the meteor. While on the tall building, there was another hero who wanted to destroy it. He was the Class S hero rank 7 robot, but the real person was far away from this place. While the two were talking, the meteor had entered the atmosphere and was falling. The robot used a fire missile to shoot at the meteor, causing a big explosion, but the meteor was still not affected. Zenov saw that there were only 33 seconds left until the meteor hit the ground, but he was still worried that he could not do anything. Bang appeared and said that if he was already afraid of failure at such a young age, what could he do in the future? He should try his best to adapt to the situation. Zenov heard this and used his energy core to put in his hand, and then he threw everything he had at the meteor. Despite this, the meteorite did not pose any threat. When Zenov collapsed, Saitama walked over to Bang and asked him to take care of his disciple. He then jumped up and punched the meteorite, destroying it completely. Bang was amazed by the feat, but the resulting debris still destroyed the city. Despite some people believing that Saitama was a villain for destroying the city, Zenov was still impressed with him for creating a brand. He informed Saitama that he was promoted from rank 17 to 16 S class, while Saitama jumped from rank 342 to rank 5 C class, an increase of 337 ranks. Zenov explained the different types of dangerous disasters, such as Tiger being a disaster that threatens many lives, Demon being a devil-class disaster that causes a city-wide crisis, Dragon being a dragon-class disaster that causes a city-wide catastrophe, and God being a deity-class disaster that affects the survival of all humanity. After hearing this, Saitama made some false claims that Zenov had to record immediately. Feeling like ranking up was too easy, Saitama went outside to do something to rank up. However, as soon as he stepped outside, Tank Top Black Hole, a member of the Tank Top Tiger group, called Saitama out and accused him of cheating his way to a higher rank by destroying the city. They staged an attack on him, but Saitama easily defeated them. While his older brother gently squeezed the hand that was kneeling down to apologize. M regretted what he had said, and at that moment, Saitama shouted loudly that he was the one who punched a meteor to pieces and anyone who had an opinion could speak up. If someone had an opinion, Saitama would make them shut up. If someone said that M was the troublemaker, Saitama would get angry and was about to argue, but Zenov stepped in to stop him. Seeing Zenov's face like that, Saitama quietly walked home with him. On the way, Zenov told him that no matter what happened, he would always be on Saitama's side. The two of them walked home together on the darkening street. At that moment, a monster appeared in the city called the Ocean Dweller, but fortunately, Saitama was on his way home and took care of it with one punch. Today, many ocean dwellers are moving into the city, including a terrifying boss, a giant figure. At this time, the 11th ranked A-class hero, Stringers, was there to rescue everyone. This news was being broadcast on TV. After receiving the news, Saitama and Zenov took action. Although Stringers was badly injured, he finally defeated all the ocean dwellers at the catastrophic Tora level. But suddenly, a larger monster appeared and knocked out Stringers. Saitama, Zenov, and the bicycle-riding hero also went to the city. But the latest report said that the disaster level had increased from Tora to Oli, meaning it was a demonic disaster. They had to hurry and run away. On the roof of the building, Max was following the creepy guy, and suddenly he appeared behind him, grabbing him by surprise. Despite using electric rays to attack him, he couldn't do anything to him. When Max suggested they fight together, the guy punched him, sending him flying to the building next door. Then Max tried to turn around to kick the guy, but the result was still the same, he got punched and thrown out. At this moment, there was an S-class hero named Pri who was standing ready outside. Seeing his face, I knew right away that he was passionate and Sonic was with him, the two of them were cellmates. Pri instructed him to tense up a bit, which tore his shirt apart. Pri quickly rushed to the big fishman of the Oceanic tribe, and when the fishman tried to punch Pri, he also punched back and twisted his face. At this point, Pri felt that the fishman was very strong, so he transformed himself into a naked fighter. His muscular body and those twisting movements were incredible. Pri jumped up high and performed a swan-like movement before rushing to punch the fishman repeatedly, but he managed to block all the punches and then threw strong punches at Pri's stomach, shoulders, and face, and then punched him in the air. The fishman continued to rush to attack Sonic, but he quickly dodged and then kicked back, but the fishman's tongue could shoot out. Fortunately, it only bit his shirt. He continued to rush forward and attack, making Sonic jump onto a high-rise building to avoid him, but he quickly caught up with him, and after a while of struggling, Sonic was caught by him, but he managed to escape his shirt and stood naked on the higher building. After running away, Sonic met Zenbov and told him to stay away from him because no matter how many heroes rushed to him, they would all lose. Inside the hideout, everyone was worried that the monster was still alive, but at this point, the fishman sensed that there were people inside and quickly destroyed a hole in the hideout and crawled inside. Someone stood up and said they would surrender and follow his demands, but he just wanted to kill and eat them. Some heroes there wanted to fight him, including 2 Class C heroes, 1 Class B hero, and 1 Class A hero, and they believed they could win. Outside, Raider was carrying Saitama, who told Raider to go ahead while he took care of something. When he returned to his previous location, Saitama saw Raider's phone and heard that the fish monster was in hiding and some heroes were holding it there. After defeating some heroes in the hideout, the fish monster was very pleased. Zenov had arrived by now and used his flame power to shoot him. When Zenov asked about the situation, the fishman jumped to grab Zenov's hand and punched him straight in the face, causing his right hand to break off and his face to become deformed by the blow. Meanwhile, Saitama was on the phone with the Hero Association, and they wanted to see his true strength, so they sent him the location. Zenov told everyone to run out of the hideout while he held onto the fishman. He rushed forward and kicked him in the face to stop him from chasing everyone, and the two of them fought each other frantically. Zenov punched him up in the air, then shot him with his flame power before using his light to blind the fishman and then punching him repeatedly. However, none of this had any effect on him. At this point, a little girl cheered for Zenov, but the fishman spat acid at her, and Zenov caught all of the acid, which corroded his body completely. When Raider arrived, he then held the protagonist and repeatedly punched him to the ground. The protagonist did not give up and continued to resist, but he was thrown far away. When his martial arts techniques failed, he loudly declared that he would never beg for mercy and that fighting a strong opponent would make him stronger. He vowed to fight the person to death. The people in the area felt the protagonist's bravery and encouraged him to keep fighting. Raider charged at the fishman, but was punched and sent flying. Fortunately, Saitama caught him. Saitama noticed that Zenov was seriously injured and told him to wait while he dealt with the fishman. The fishman then charged at Saitama and punched him in the head, but it only made him dizzy. Saitama glared at the fishman, and everyone thought that he, as a Class C hero, would be easily killed by him. However, Saitama only needed one punch to create a hole in the fishman's chest and make his eyes pop out. The fishman fell to the ground and died. The people celebrated their victory, while Saitama remained perplexed by how easy it was. At this point, Sonic had returned with his weapon and demanded to punish the starving fishman, but there was nothing left for Sonic to do. The next morning, there was a package from the Hero Association containing letters sent by fans to the Zenov heroes. Saitama only received 2 letters, the first of which cursed him for stealing someone else's credit. When Saitama had just defeated the monster, everyone cheered and admired him, but someone said that perhaps the monster wasn't that strong and was only defeated by a C-class hero. S-class heroes were just a name and weren't actually strong. Saitama laughed and thanked the heroes for making him weaker before he defeated the monster like this. Saitama wanted to protect the reputation of the hero ranks, so he lied like that. But Saitama also received another letter of thanks. The Hero Association announced that he had risen to rank 1 in the C-class and summoned Saitama to their headquarters to ask whether he would choose to remain in the C-class or move up to the low-rank B-class. Saitama said he was lazy and would move up to the B-class for ease. 3 people above were discussing Saitama and believed that he cheated and stole credit. Then someone from the association said that he really had the ability and to wait and see how he would rank. At the hospital, after waking up, Stringers and Max were threatened by their senior, Pre, to be injected with some hormones. They quickly ran away. That night on the way home, Saitama met Raider eating on the roadside. Raider also congratulated him on his successful promotion. At an ice block that had been there for thousands of years, there was a red eye that appeared and a dinosaur broke out of the ice. As soon as the dinosaur saw the sun for a while, a plane flew by and dropped a person with superpowers. The girl landed in front of the large dinosaur and calmly talked without paying attention to the dinosaur. The dinosaur became angry and tried to step on the girl, but she wasn't easy to bully. When the dinosaur was about to breathe fire, a meteorite fell from the sky and sent the dinosaur to the other world. On a martial arts hall on top of a high mountain, Bang was demonstrating the water stream rock smashing fist to Saitama and Zenov, but the two seemed not very interested, as it was not impressive. At this moment, the most talented disciple thought that the two were disrespecting the martial arts hall, so he demanded an apology from them, but Zenov lightly shrugged and said, "Is this the most talented disciple?" Bang then recounted that he had a disciple who was very strong but got bored with training and went to defeat all of the other disciples, making them weaker. So, Bang fought him and kicked him off the mountain. His name was Gara. While they were talking, someone came to report that all S-class heroes were summoned. Zenov saw this and told Saitama to come along, as he may be needed. When they arrived at the headquarters, they encountered Yasuo. Saitama greeted him, but Yasuo brushed him off, saying that he only cared about the strong ones. Tatsumaki also arrived and asked why he brought along a B-class loser like him. Saitama wondered who he was, and Zenov told him that he was a S-class hero ranked 2nd. When they entered the meeting room, all of the S-class heroes were there, and they all looked unpleasant, except for Saitama who ranked 63rd in the B-class. The chairman of the association came in and announced that the great prophet Sibia had passed away. She died while predicting the future for the next 6 months. Saitama wondered who she was, and Pre explained that she was a great prophet, and whatever she predicted would come true. Before she died, she left a final prophecy on a piece of paper, which was projected onto the screen. Everyone was surprised to see that the Earth was in danger. The chairman said that Sibia's prediction was 100% accurate, and they should ask the S-class heroes to help. Someone asked who the person sitting at the bottom was, and Saitama spoke up, saying, "I'm Saitama." At this moment, there were several birdmen attacking outside the headquarters, but suddenly those birdmen fell down one by one, and the leader was also split in half. A huge spaceship appeared in the sky, and the 5-headed birdman with axes descended to fight first. The spaceship activated its destruction mode and attacked everything below it, causing the building to collapse. While a father and son were saving each other, the 5-headed birdman was about to catch them, but someone came and cut off its finger. The monster rushed to hit the protective helmet, and the person came and chopped it with another strike, cutting the monster in half. Meanwhile, inside the conference room, the damage report showed that 99.8% of the city was destroyed, and Saitama jumped out of the ceiling to see what was happening outside. At that moment, a large number of bullets were fired at Saitama. He dodged for a moment and then kicked one back. The five-headed birdman transformed his hand from an axe into a hammer and threw it, hitting and severing the arm of the young man who had split into 5 bodies. As he prepared for the next attack, Atomic Samurai, the S-Class Hero 3, appeared and cut those monsters into pieces. When they regenerated, Atomic continued to attack and destroy them. At the same time, both Bang and Metalbat also appeared there. Pri used her swan technique to break through the layer of clothing to reveal her body and rushed to punch the five-headed birdman continuously. Meanwhile, the group outside was discussing how to fight. Saitama had already entered the spaceship, while the boss was in the ship, looking very calm. His name was Bra Rose, and when he entered the control room, they told him that a human had infiltrated the spaceship and caused 23% damage. Seeing that, Bra Rose ordered his loyal subordinates to send some men to deal with Saitama. Below, Mio Ra was fighting with S-Class heroes but was called back to deal with the intruder on the spaceship. He split his head to go back to the spaceship while he stayed to fight. However, his head was shattered by Metalbat. Saitama broke the door and entered, and the red orb in the broken head became the center for it to regenerate. Metalbat continued to hit it as if it were training. Meanwhile, Mio Ra was fighting with Pri, Bang, and Atomic and told the person in the control room that he was busy fighting with the human, and he asked them to go help. On this side, the iron rod continued to smash the monster again and managed to grab a blue ball from the shattered thermometer ball. The iron rod then informed everyone that there was a ball inside the monster's body, and it was its weakness. Atomic continuously slashed the monster's body to try and get the ball, while on the other side, Saitama received a message from the surveillance room that he would die if he continued. Saitama said he didn't know the way out, and the boy showed him the way out, thinking that Saitama would leave. However, Saitama ran straight inside the room. The surveillance operator warned Saitama to stop, but Saitama kicked the door open and entered the control room. In the room, there was a space octopus named Zero, who had the highest power level in the universe. He could manipulate gravity and cause everything around him to change. He was compared to the power of a black hole in the universe. However, Saitama didn't seem to be affected by his power, which made Zero angry. He summoned rocks and threw them at Saitama, causing the ship to break. Saitama asked why he was throwing rocks, then picked one up and threw it back, killing Zero easily. Saitama then asked where the boss of the monsters was, while Mio Ra was being attacked and Pri bit the second ball, leaving him with only 2 heads. The three-eyed man on the spaceship used his firepower to attack them, but Tatsumaki appeared and blocked the bullets with her power before throwing them back at the spaceship. The three-eyed man fled, and they continued to fight with Mio Ra. Bang managed to grab another ball, leaving only 1 head left. However, he was caught off guard and was hit hard, causing him to feel a lot of pain. Mio Ra was furious and wanted to kill them all. Saitama then found the boss's room and asked if he was the boss of the spaceship. Boros then stood up and said that he was the leader of a space pirate group and had come to Earth because he was too strong and had no opponents. There was a prophecy that on a planet called Earth, there would be a very powerful warrior who could defeat Boros. As soon as he heard about it, he came looking for the warrior, but when he arrived in front of Saitama, he was punched through several walls. Boros got up and said that his armor had been hindering his unparalleled strength and now he could fight for real. He transformed into his true form and began to charge towards Saitama. The two started fighting, but Saitama was still making fun of him and fighting easily. After one punch, Boros lost an arm. Saitama shouted at him to come at him if he was really that good. Meanwhile, Tank Top Master was holding a large piece of broken house to throw at the spaceship. Tornado lifted the whole pile and threw it towards the spaceship, causing the people inside to panic and run away. Bang then grabbed the last core and crushed it, ending the fight. The low-ranking heroes focused on saving the injured civilians. Inside the spaceship, Saitama was fighting Boros hand-to-hand, and even with one arm, Boros seemed to have stronger punches than Saitama, sending him flying. Boros charged towards Saitama and kept attacking him, eventually knocking him out of the spaceship. They continued fighting on the rooftop of the spaceship. Boros admitted that Saitama was the strongest opponent he had ever faced and showed off the regenerative abilities and high latent physical strength and energy of his own species. Just as he finished speaking, he released his energy and fired a straight shot at Saitama, causing a huge explosion. Boros then appeared behind Saitama and punched him hard in the head. The force of the punch created a gust of wind that extinguished the flames around them. He admitted that Saitama was very strong and boasted that his race had the ability to regenerate physical strength and had very high latent energy. Boro became angry and unleashed a very strong energy that even caused pressure inside the spaceship. Saitama was thrown far away, and Boros continuously punched and created large shockwaves around them. He used both hands to smash Saitama down and then kicked him straight up into the air. Saitama flew all the way to the moon, where he punched it hard, causing 1/3 of it to shatter into pieces. Boros thought he had won, but then Saitama returned, still unscathed, making him angry. Boros rushed forward and punched Saitama repeatedly, but Saitama punched him back, causing him to fly far away. Saitama then hit him with a series of powerful punches that destroyed Boros' body, but he immediately regenerated. Boros was determined to defeat Saitama and released 100% of his energy. Saitama also used his serious punch, which destroyed Boros' energy completely and caused the clouds to split in half. Despite this, Boros was still able to speak with Saitama and admitted defeat. He was the first person to withstand Saitama's serious punch and said that he enjoyed the battle. However, he knew that Saitama had not used his full power from the beginning and that he had no chance of winning. He exclaimed that Saitama was the strongest person he had ever encountered. After that statement, the spaceship crashed down, causing the soldiers inside to panic and run around frantically. The men below quickly ran away to avoid being crushed. Amai arrived and sarcastically mocked the S-class heroes, calling them useless and pathetic. Hearing these insults, Metal Bat vented his anger by hitting a few enemy soldiers with his weapon. While they were arguing heatedly, a box emerged from underground, and Bowie came out with the intention of restoring the spaceship to create the most powerful weapon. During the battle, he did not show up until it was over. Amai killed some of the small soldiers and then left. Meanwhile, Tatsumaki was standing by and watching, but when Saitama came out of the spaceship, she approached him to ask questions, but he ignored her, making her angry. Saitama asked her to let out her frustration by cursing, but Zenov got hit by the little girl and stuck to the wall. Fortunately, Bang arrived and mediated the situation to avoid further conflict. After this incident, the heroes moved to the cities and gathered at their main headquarters to become stronger and fight against even more ruthless enemies.